Well, the scene is set within the Paragon Odyssey 15. Within the management office, John Stanhope, Prince of the City, sits and does some tedious paperwork, trying his hardest to maintain the casino, well, the theatre complex mainly, his money. He's going over the various files and trying to do a few cutbacks, seeing where he can find how to put the theatre back on its legs again. It was only around a month of poor management. He couldn't have wrecked it so much. And it is simply a case of putting all the ducks in a row and making sure that the mortals know how to follow his orders. However, he has a few meetings today. First of which is the report from the Master of Harpies, Laird Brehorn. And there we will begin our scene.
Laird walks up to the door. Is Mr. Darling there, or would it be like just the door alone that he should knock on?
It's just the doors empty. Mr. Darling's having a day off.
Okay. Well, he knocks on the door gently. Sir? He opens the door. You wish to see me, sir? And he bows his head, as he always does, with respect, after coming in the room.
Yes, Mr. Brehorn, please, come in.
Okay, and he takes a seat. Is it all right if I take a moment to thank you again for the other night?
You must.
No, just Miss Maitland was able to secure the medical records I needed from here. Things are going smoothly with getting an alternative ID, and I wanted to thank you again.
That's fine. It's one of the pains of living forever. You have to go through all the paperwork numerous times. Well, I suppose it's time for us to have a little chat. You're probably wondering exactly what was discussed in the Primogen meeting.
He's nodding yes. He would really like to hear it from you.
Well, the items on the list were first, of course, the creature that I have dubbed Artemis, the Malkavian Elder. By unanimous vote, we will speak to the higher-ups and see if we can have an investigating Archons, or if even better, a Justicar, come in and review the situation. I'm not looking forward to it, but I should make the other cities' princes aware, so I'll be writing letters. So that means I would like the Harpies, especially, to brush up on their etiquette, and to be prepared for a very important guest.
I will make them all aware, sir.
Excellent. Then, of course, we went on to the Anarch Treaty, which I'm sure you're aware failed.
Yes. Sid Miles spoke to me of it, he says.
Yes. I spoke with Mr. Miles. He did mention you had a meeting. It is a shame. I really thought it would work. I suppose it's my own pride and arrogance that perhaps rushed things a little too much. You know, every prince in this city has tried to have a treaty with the Anarchs one way or the other. I thought I would be the one to actually seal the deal. That kindred don't move quickly, Mr. Brehorn. It's always a slow process. Perhaps we moved a little too radically for the more traditional amongst us.
He nods to you and he says, well, c'est la vie. There's no use crying over spilled milk, as they say. My personal vested interest in the treaty was more to use it to bolster and reinforce your transition as you took office. For when I met you, you were Primogen still, and it seemed like the best route to make sure that there was a stable peace. And he shrugs his shoulders.
Well, at least we know they can be dealt with.
Yes.
I hope they don't take the news too badly. We'll have to keep an eye on the more hotter-headed members of their little sect. Then, of course... Oh, carry on.
Sorry. No. You. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No worries. Then we discussed the unfortunate business of Miss Quinn. Very disturbing news, that. Sabbat infiltrator amongst us. Therefore, I have tasked each of the Primogen to look out for their own clans. If Miss Quinn could have been a traitor, anyone can. I want our city to be ironclad against the Sabbat. In this case, I will be speaking with Haikal later today in the hope of getting a message to Mr. Walsh. It appears that Mr. Rojas had some unfortunate dealings. It's where the information from Miss Quinn came from. I would like to speak with Mr. Rojas about this incident, see if we can narrow down who Apollo was dealt with or where he was staying when he was here. And of course, to make sure that Mr. Walsh's territory is shored up and we're all prepared in case the worst happens. We must assume that they know everything.
Laird nods, and then he says, "Sir, when I spoke to Sid Miles, it was not 30, 40 minutes after the meeting ended. He gave me a rundown, a minute by minute. Some of the stuff you're telling me he didn't say. The Artemis bit he left out, he omitted. But he made it seem as though Rojas was to be blood hunted. It was a different tone of voice, and the way that he talked about it was very fervent, almost fanatical."
Well, last time I spoke to Mr. Miles, he was calling the Anarchs barbarians. He had an unfortunate encounter with Nick DeForno. I suspect his own coloration of his clanmate has affected his judgment.
Well, after we spoke, since I always relay information to you, I shall keep that and uphold that duty. I tried to appeal to Mr. Walsh myself to come to you again. I knew he would probably not yield to the title of a member of Camarilla, but I figured since Vasily is an autochthonous independent, maybe he could broker a smaller deal with you in good faith, since he met with you in good faith.
Mr. Brehon, did you speak with Mr. Walsh without my express permission? Trying to broker deals that we have not discussed yet? What did you tell them? Mr. Brehon, have you frozen? You've just been very still. Oh, it looks like you're frozen. One moment, please.
Sorry, Anne.
It's all right.
I'm so sorry, Anne.
It's not your fault. Did you hear my last question?
You were saying, did you speak to, and then you go from there.
Did you speak to Mr. Walsh offering deals without my permission? What is
not
it?
Not offering deals, sir. I spoke to Mr. Walsh, pleading with him to come to you. And I told Mr. DeForno to forsake the Anarch cause and to join the Camarilla.
And how did they take that?
Walsh said that he would try to speak to Mr. Cole, but he did not seem happy. He did not act violently or untoward. DeForno was a lot more cagey at first, a little more emotional, very emotional man. But seeing as I saw to Devon Creed's return to Terracius Cole to be brought forth from torpor, he was not unkind to me at the end of our exchange. I told them that they should not see any of this as reason to start something, that they should cool out, as they would say, and try to come forth and deal with the Camarilla, to join the Camarilla in any way they saw fit. I knew that Gary is too stubborn, obviously. He would never, ever join. But I figured maybe there was a hope that he could talk with you again and broker something, that you may find an ally in him.
Any dealings we have with Mr. Walsh now will have to be under the table, Mr. Brehon. You have already started many rumours, and you're not exactly keeping my faith and confidence having secret meetings with the Anarchs without my permission. Remember where your loyalties lie. It's not with
They lie
them.
with you, sir. You can roll perception empathy when he says that.
I will do. I will also do a little bit of a manipulation subterfuge, because well, I'll do the perception empathy first.
Yeah.
I'm not respecting you, because it's rude.
Yeah.
And I'm not suspicious of you at this
Well,
point.
as far as you can tell, he's telling the truth when he says that his loyalties lie with you. Period.
For my manipulation subterfuge. Oh, I'm not doing well today. Enchanting voice though. So
Okay.
2 successes, if you wish to.
Okay. What would I defend with?
The usual. You've done these rolls so many times. I'm sure you.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. Okay, I'll just roll manipulation subterfuge back.
Lovely.
Rolling pretty good.
That's for basically when he speaks of Javier Rojas, and you can tell that the prince is obviously holding something back. He's maybe sugarcoating what he's saying.
Sure.
It's not unexpected, of course.
Right, and he's not going to bring it up. So, like that's, yeah, it's just, yeah, he nods. If I might, sir, Mr. Miles seems a bit like one to exaggerate. And that's a dangerous thing when dealing with matters of court business. I don't like to spread rumors. I like to tell people information as to mitigate possible violence or bad actions upon the court.
Well, this is why we have Harpies, to be able to mitigate rumors from facts. Numerous sources make facts. One man does not.
This is true.
If you know that he is prone to exaggeration, well, then you know.
Well, now I do. He says. He says, "Well, now I do."
Mr. Miles has an imaginary friend he talks to.
This is also true, and he believes in tarot cards. It's a really weird hobby.
Yeah. The occult has always been a bit of mumbo jumbo. We used to have a revival in my time. Never got into it. I find it all a bunch of poppycock, personally. Didn't believe to the Tremere. But yes, the Anarch business. That is pretty much it, really. I don't know of any misdemeanors any of the Anarchs have done. But other than that, it is simply just to keep an eye on them, and I was perhaps thinking that, yes, maybe a meeting with Mr. Walsh, but I'd like to wait until he cools off a little more. I suspect he is quite bitter over the results of the treaty. That's why I wish to speak with Haikal, as I know he has a good relation with them, for his own detriment, I'm sure.
He nods to you, and then he says, "When it comes to Gary, you met him with temerity and honesty and honor, and I wish to relay that personally to him so that he knew that Clan Ventru was willing to continue to be honorable with him."
I think we were fighting an uphill struggle on that, Mr. Brown. Mr. Crown simply did it because I wanted him to. If he was left to his own devices, I doubt that our clan would have supported the treaty.
I understand that. I do, but I knew that you are a noble man, and Gary deserves to understand that. And you can roll. You can roll again. Perception empathy, because he believes that. He believes that. So
And then we discussed projects to help invigorate the city. I was very much taken with the Regent's idea of renewing the education, perhaps a new university, or trying to distill educational programs for the underprivileged. I would like to re-educate our populace with the trust fund being collected. I hope Mr. Red is doing well with the Board of Education, as well as perhaps moving to the outer rim? Wrong game. Outer sections of the city and try and place a few key members within the power plant and the water treatment plant. We don't want those slipping away from us, especially if we're having an impending Sabbat incursion.
Laird nods. Mr. Red came to me asking for a little help with the endeavor you gave him. So I offered to offer him a little bit of a leg up. I did a little bit of, we'll say, legal consulting for him. So I think he'll be moving quite expeditiously on that particular front.
Excellent. If he starts to struggle, try and steer some other neonates in that direction. I know there's a few that have not been assigned.
Certainly.
Yes.
Maybe Joshua Smith from the Torio would be a good pick.
I believe he's helping us with the Channel 5 thing.
Oh, he is. We met the other night on that. I just didn't know if that was a coterie officially or not.
Oh no, that is correct. This is an official coterie. Yes, maybe, if he has the time. It would help him to read up on a few books as well. Captain America.
He laughs. He can't help but laugh at that. You actually got him. Yes, very good, sir. He says, still kind of chuckling at that.
Now, I'm interested to hear in your report, Mr. Brehon. You have been up to many, many things.
Yes.
And I'd like to hear the progress of them.
Well, today I borrowed Megan Maitland's school to act in my stead because apparently my father has recently died and I was unable to make it to a lunch during the day concerning Lynetta Perkins and her campaign. But I believe the capable ghoul in question will be able to relay any information. He was a poli-sci student after all. So he acted as my PA in my stead to get me any information on anyone close to Lynetta that I might need for later. Additionally, her campaign... Oh, sorry
to interrupt, but you're going in the public eye yourself?
No. Not myself directly. I am just going to be known as the lawyer behind everything. No photos, rarely going to appear. But since I recently passed away, I, of course, will be aggrieved probably for the rest of the campaign. But they can contact me via phone if they have to, or an email here or there. I am not in the public eye in this, but Mr. Vestas is the patron. He's the donator. Since we are business partners, I'm assuming he will be rushing to my aid in this and hiring people on to assume control of the day-to-day of the charity while we are both dealing with my personal matters, he says to you.
Okay. As long as you keep the silence of the blood, Mr. Brehon, and be extra careful. The media does love to crawl all over those involved in politics, and we don't have a stranglehold on it yet.
He nods to you again and says, certainly, sir. Certainly.
And your other pieces of business?
The Harpies have convened. Obviously, we had heard that the treaty had not passed. I tried to convey to all of them that the past is in the past. I wanted them to know that now is a time for the Camarilla to come together. I also have informed them all that from this point going forward, since the government has stabilized, we are to be appropriately tallying boons. We've nominated that Megan Maitland will keep an accurate counting of boons and accounting going forward. I also will be notifying the public that they are to ensure that they tell a Harpy of a boon that is owed as soon as a deal is made.
Excellent. With the wheels in motion.
It is our way of commerce, sir, and it is time that people start respecting it.
Exactly. Let it be known to the Harpies that, seeing as we can't treat with the adults, we can certainly tempt them. I would like to make it very apparent that neonates in the Camarilla were rewarded greatly for good service. Therefore, I would like you to subtly prod people in the direction, or you and all the Harpies, of completing their coterie tasks, or perhaps even donating towards the court in whatever matters they think seem important.
I will, sir. I did at the Harpy meeting explain to everyone that we as the whole should offer our support to the coteries to help them with progress. Even at this most recent meeting, it's almost like we're telepathetic, he says to you.
Excellent. I will be exceedingly generous to those who offer results. You know, I am privately a meritocratist. I believe good work should be rewarded. And when the Anarchs see that for just such a small amount of work, that the Camarilla isn't so bad, and look, they're getting domain and havens and money. Why am I an Anarch again?
He nods to that. As you would say, sir, just so. And he smiles.
Very good. How is our troublesome cousin?
I have sent an email to Roger and yourself asking for command of his ghoul for a time to assist Megan Maitland's ghoul and anything, to be a PA for my PA or a runner at this meeting, so we'll see how the ghoul performs. I have also begun to put together a strict gauge measurement that Roger will have to follow. He's going to have to learn a lot in a very short period of time, since I cannot give him a full 2 years before he interacts with others. So his workload and his teaching load will be quite heavy. I suspect he will not be interacting with many kindred at first, but we will work together on the airport under my guidance.
Exactly. Make him either sink or swim, Mr. Brehon. He's been allowed a free ride for quite some time. And steel is always tempered with a hammer.
I concur, sir. The weak are killed and eaten.
In this city more than others.
He nods to you. With Roger, I question whether or not bonding him beyond twice is necessary. I wanted to ask your opinion. He is...
Prince glowers. You see his body language entirely changes.
Sure. He's just asking your opinion, though. He just wants
No,
to
I know.
know.
It's just you've never seen him like this before. He's not angry at you, but it's certainly something that he disapproves of greatly.
Okay.
No one deserves the third drink, Mr. Brehon.
He nods and he says, I concur. That's how I felt. My sire never bonded me before twice. And then even then he let it go to one bond for the majority of our relationship. I didn't know what you thought on the matter.
I am not in favor. He says, trying to retain his composure.
Neither am I. You know what I mean.
Yes, indeed. I don't see a problem with you having Mr. Erickson's ghouls for a time, but they are on loan. I don't want to make him think that he's gotten off with it, as it were. And, well, I'm a little short-staffed after Jason's passing.
I understand. I have no need of the man with the
Gun fetish?
Yes. I just need someone that can help, in little political gatherings during the day that I cannot attend.
It is done. And what else were you put on? The Right District, I suppose.
Yes, I am now in the process of purchasing a motel, and there is a bordello/phone sex company where most of the prostitution I found is funneling through for the entire region. I have made inroads to take it over. It is all but in my grasp now. When these two businesses are mine, since they are co-joined in their dirty dealings, I will run prostitution in the red light district. It should be within the week.
Excellent. That will give us well, you, and by proxy, Camarilla, a good grasp on information networks into the more senior parts of our city, something we have not had in quite some time, or at least our clan.
There is I guess, a self-styled businessman, but he's really more of a pimp who runs the majority of these businesses, a man named Digby. He is already under my control. He's already signed certain agreements with me. And he's into money with me now for a good $250,000. So we'll see what happens if he fails to pay me. It might be that I just own everything he owns by proxy, he says to you.
Perhaps. I'll trust you with this, but don't let him fool you. I suspect that this Mr. Digby has been at this particular game for a lot longer than you have, Mr. Brown.
Oh, I concur. He's invaluable. I don't want anything to happen to him. I've informed him that this will be a transitionary period as prostitution will inevitably be legalized, and that he stands to gain a lot more money down the road if he hangs in there. So I have a feeling that he'll turn out to be a loyal subordinate and potentially a ghoul for myself to help run things. I'm going to gauge him a little bit further before I do so. But I've been cautious, yet constant in feeling things out in that particular region of the city. We don't want another plague bearer, obviously.
No.
And also, I've been trying to keep my eyes out to make sure no one's feeding there.
Anyone?
No, no one that I can see so far. And the Harpies meet there and convene there regularly, and they've been informed. They would tell me if they saw someone. But I knew what your decree was, and I've tried to monitor it.
Is there any other business, Mr. Brayhon?
He's sighing for a second. I'd like a word of advice.
Certainly.
I was a little visibly angry with Jacob Crowley in front of Sid Miles. We had an understanding. I thought he was to vote our way. But since then, you know, I've had some time to think, and I've told Mortimer C. Fitzgerald to inform Mr. Crowley that while I'm angry at the moment, he should give me time and space. You know, I don't want to hold a grudge. Now, you can roll to see if that's a lie, because he's telling the truth, but he's definitely bending it a little bit there. All right, and I'm going to roll manipulation subterfuge while I say that. And totally, you know, you can tell me.
You can't keep out your frustration when you say his name. Jacob Crowley.
Yeah, just
grudge at all.
Yeah. Well, not quite that way, but you definitely hear the frustration. Yeah.
The prince holds his hand up. Plausible undeniability, Mr. Brayhorn. Competition makes us all think sharper. As long as I don't hear about it, I don't need to know about it.
He smiles at you warmly, and he nods. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Then he gets up to politely excuse himself. Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Brayhorn.
Good evening, my prince. And he gently closes the door behind himself as he leaves.
And the prince looks back down at the paperwork, sighs. Never ends. Ends it.